LED lighting is increasing in popularity, but what are the advantages and what are the challenges? When is it interesting to invest in LED lighting? You will get answers to all of these questions coming 1 to 1.5 hours. Welcome to the Green Tech webinar talks on how to grow successfully with LED. My name is Schreder den Boer and I will moderate the session, and several experts on this theme will join the table today. But before I go to the first two guests, I actually would like to know a bit more about who's joining, who is our viewer. So there is a chat button, and please write down what's your name, the country you're watching from, and maybe you can already share your expectations for this webinar. So if you already have a question, write it down in the chat, and we will try to answer as many questions as possible during this webinar. Meanwhile, I will go to my first two guests here. Michelle de Wit, Director at Hortilux, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Mariska Dreschler, Director at Green Tech Events.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, great you're here. Mariska, today it's the 15th of June 2021.
That's
and
right.
If I'm correct, today would be the first day, official day of Green Tech Amsterdam 2021.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So for the second time, we're not able to organize a face-to-face event, but I'm very glad also together with the team that we can reach out to the audience via this webinar. And I'm very proud also that we can work together with Hortilux for this one.
Yeah, yeah. And how are you and the team doing? Because it was such a year for Green Tech, but also for RAI Amsterdam.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm very proud of the team. We are doing well, to give an answer to your question. But yeah, they are so agile, and it also gives you an opportunity to be flexible and to change into the needs that really, or to really put the focus on the needs of the audience.
Yeah.
So we know that this knowledge sharing and innovation need by our audience is very important. And well, we cannot reach out face to face, but what can we do? We can reach out online, and that's the driver also for the team to make it customized. And this gives us also a big opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the good news is Green Tech Amsterdam will go on, but not in June, but in September.
Right, yes, from 28 to 30 September, we expect to be open for visitors and exhibitors from Europe and the Netherlands. And of course, we will reach out online to the people that cannot attend in person. And we will make sure that the venue is fully COVID-proof, etc. But we are so eager to see each other face to face again. And well, we see that market leaders and innovators already step into this beautiful blended event, as we call it, because we will have a physical and an online platform. And yeah, that gives a lot of energy, and yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think like everybody really looks forward to a live event, right?
Absolutely, most certainly. Yes.
Yeah, me too. What can the people expect for Green Tech 2021?
We have two main drivers, knowledge sharing and innovation. So we have the Innovation Award again, and we will share knowledge, a lot of knowledge on crop optimization. So that will be in the expert theater. And on vision, perspective. So we will also have a vision stage. And of course, the market leaders and innovators that will present their products, their solutions for worldwide producers and investors.
So people can join online or offline live?
Yeah,
okay.
Both.
Yeah.
Or both. So it will be fully blended, and we will make it as easy as possible and as powerful as possible.
Cool. I'm really looking forward to it already.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Well, knowledge, I think everybody knows that knowledge is like one of the main pillars for Green Tech, right? It's really always you have extended knowledge sessions and programs. Is that also one of the reasons why you're now partnering up for a webinar like this with
Yes.
Hortilux?
Yes. Since COVID, obviously, we needed to only focus on these online platforms. And first, we made it as neutral as possible, as we are a neutral platform, of course. But you see that the webinars also evolve into more commercial, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So we would like to do that, as we don't have the knowledge as Green Tech so in depth regarding LED light, for example. So.
Yeah.
Why not partnering with a market leader on that perspective? And well, you also have an innovation involved in the webinar, so that makes it a win-win, in my opinion. So.
Is that, by the way, an innovation for the Innovation Award as well?
Might be.
Oh, cool.
Might be.
Co-creating. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that brings me to you, Michel, because, well, it might be clear for the viewers that Hortilux is a lighting company, while we're
Correct.
talking about LED, of course. But can you tell a little bit more about Hortilux? What kind of company is it? Why, in which, what are you specialized?
Yeah. Well, of course, I can give an answer to that question. But before doing so, I would really like to thank the Green Tech for having us here and enable us as a company to share our knowledge. It's like Mariska says, for us also one of the key drivers. And that's already a start of answering your question. We like to present ourselves as a company which is offering grow light solutions. So it's not so much about selling products, because that is at the end also what we do, but to add knowledge on top of that, that is a key driver of our company.
And why is that?
There's a very simple explanation for that. Because I have a strong belief that it should not be about selling technology, because that is relatively easy. But to understand the efficacy of technology, that's a different ballgame. So
Yeah.
helping our customers to really understand what's the necessity and the use of putting artificial light in their greenhouse, how to use it, when to use it, related to the crop, growing plants, etc. That really makes the difference. So you have to add knowledge to your products to really make the difference for your customer.
And is that more important with LED than with HPS, for example, the knowledge part?
I think so, because HPS is there for more or less 40 years. And actually, I'm always proud to tell that the whole invention of artificial light as what it is today was the root cause of our company. So the founding father of our company was actually the one who invented artificial light into the greenhouse industry.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that was almost 40 years ago. And what we have seen is that in the last, let's say, 30, 35 years, the whole industry was about HPS. So there's a lot of knowledge from growers as well, how to use HPS in an efficient way. But if you look at LED as a solution, it's a complete different way of growing your products. Whether it's a hybrid solution, HPS with LED or full LED. It's about different climate in your greenhouse. You have to apply different CO2 dosages. Your whole heat is completely different.
Yeah.
So to learn how to use LED in a greenhouse is completely different.
And knowledge, being a knowledge partner is essential.
That's
actually
the key driver.
Yeah.
That's what we see and that's what we expect today as well. There are so many questions from growers about recipes, about how to apply LED in a good way. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and how do you express that to customers, that you are a knowledge partner? How do you implement that in
I really
situations?
appreciate that question, because I always say it's very easy to tell nice stories. If you look at our proposition, your Grow Light Knowledge Partner, that's just a sentence. But the way how you do that, that really makes the difference. And there are a few examples to explain how we give the access to our knowledge to the industry. The first one is that we have a couple of Grow Light consultants working for the company, and one of them is joining us today, Stefan André.
Yeah.
And Grow Light consultants, both in the pre-sales process, they help the grower with finding the real needs. So they ask for a product, but we think you have to dig in and dive in.
Yeah.
What is your growing ambition? What about return on investment? What about the recipe you need for your crop, for your specific situation?
Yeah.
So that's the pre-sales support our consultants supply to customers. But after the artificial light is in the greenhouse, you have to learn how to use it. And that's also something where the Grow Light consultants come in and help the grower to do that in the most effective and efficient way.
Yeah.
Another example I'm proud of to share with all these people who are watching today is that Hortilux is one of the 6 implementation partners of Plant Empowerment. And Plant Empowerment is a consortium of 6 thought leaders in the industry. And what binds them together is that they all have the same philosophy. That it's not so much about the technology, it's about understanding the plant and what the plant needs from different angles, where it's climate, where it's irrigation, where it's biologics, where it's artificial light. All these consultants together, they offer a complete package of knowledge to the grower to make sure that he can take care in the best way about his crop. Yeah. So these are a couple of examples how we really bring knowledge to the industry.
Well, I'm looking forward to hear more about this coming hour. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. Thank you, Mariska. In the meantime, let's see who's joining us today. I'm quite curious. Oh, I see a very international audience. The Emirates is joining. Thanos, welcome. I see India, Cyprus, the Netherlands, England. Really cool. Welcome. Great you're all here. As already mentioned, if you have questions during the webinar, there is a chat button. Just leave your questions there and we will try to answer as many questions as possible. In the meantime, this brings me to the next video. We're going to watch a video of Paul-Erik Lund. He is a crop advisor at Growtech, a company from Denmark, and he will share his thoughts on LED lighting.
Hello, and thanks for being here. My name is Paul-Erik Lund. I'm a co-owner of the Growtech consulting company. We do advise mainly in high wire crops. Mainly, for my concern, it's mainly tomatoes, some cucumbers, but my focus is on tomatoes. And also what I'm going to say today is with a background in tomato advising. So that's my focus. I work in Denmark. I live in Denmark. I also work in Denmark, Sweden, Norway. Norway is my biggest market. Poland is also quite big. So it's a lot of customers with light. I think more or less only one of my customers doesn't have any artificial light. So that's a big focus for us. The solution you have to look for is not the same for all growers. It's all depending on your situation. What is it you want? What is your situation? Your access to power? What are you going to use the light for? Is it for the winter production? Is it for the summer? Is it for a mixed production like propagation and high wire crops afterwards? It's a lot of things to take in consideration when you choose your light installation. So it's not one size fits all. It's more mixed. First of all, of course, we need to know what is it the grower want. Is it for the winter production? Is it for supplemental light for the summer? Is it to make the season longer? Is it and then of course his situation, is it a new house, the height of the house, all that, and then in the end we decide or have to decide what light level do we need to aim for in this case. So it fit to his what he wants to achieve with this installation. There can also be this with the limitation on how much power he can get. So then how can we get the most light out of this power we have access to? So when we know, okay, what is it you want? What is your situation? Then we can calculate the light level we need. And then of course also the extra production, what we get from this extra light. I think as early as possible. First of all, of course, maybe I have a discussion with the grower, or we say, okay, I want to do this and this. Who should we take contact to? And then, of course, we take contact to the different suppliers of light, have some meetings, have the different options or possibilities on the table. Of course, get some prices. That's always an important thing, of course. But also different companies have different solutions and different types of lamps, and that's can see to benefit for the growers. They have more different options to choose between, and I think to get the companies involved in that process as early as possible is only a good thing for everybody. So it end up to be the right yeah, hopefully we make the right decision in the end. I see the LED light is a big part of that. It will be more diverse installation and more crop related. But in the end, it's make the whole industry more efficient and a part of the sustainability process that all companies have to take part in for the future. And I think that's you can say the overall reason for looking into this LED light, of course. Have a clear picture of what you want, put the options on the table, and make your decision for your own situation. Don't look to what other growers have done and think that is just the right thing for you as well. Your situation might be different, and I think that's a part of it. And then, of course, what you're growing is made a little more specific now. If you cannot, in Scandinavia, some growers have both tomato and cucumbers, and that's when you have your light recipe for tomatoes. It's not so flexible. You cannot just change to cucumbers for the winter production. So it's give a lot of possibilities, but it's also make some limitations for your production in the future. So try to get a clear picture of what you want, and then we end up hopefully to take a good decision for that situation.
Welcome back. Meanwhile, Harm Ammerlaan, Sales Director at Hortilux, and Stefan André, Growing Consultant at Hortilux, joined the table. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very happy that you're here to talk about LED. We just watched the video of Paul-Erik Lund. And the two main things I got out of this video, or the two main messages, were it's not one size fits all with LED, so it's very situation depending what you need. And he was talking also about the sustainability part of LED, that it can change the industry, it can make horticulture industry more sustainable. I'm quite curious, how do you look at that? Do you agree with that on that, or?
Yeah, well, fortunately, I fully agree with what Paul-Erik mentioned, and I definitely can relate to many of the things that he mentioned. Mm-hmm. Definitely, it's not a one-size-fits-all, so that's very, very important when you start exploring the possibilities for supplemental lighting. And indeed, it's also on the sustainable side very interesting, because nowadays we are able, with the LED possibilities, with a much lower electricity input, to reach a much bigger light output.
Yeah.
So that's where the sustainability part kicks in.
So can imagine that also helps with the increasing popularity, because sustainability is getting more important worldwide. So, yes. But we're going to talk about that later on as well. Maybe we should go back a couple of steps first, because we're talking about grow light. I can imagine that most of the viewers are quite familiar with grow light. They know what it is, but can you explain why is it important in generally seen to have grow light in your greenhouse?
Yeah, well, light, of course, is the most crucial element for plant growth.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Without light, there is no possibility to grow anything. And of course, we have the sun. Yeah. Which is a free light source that we can use. But there are many situations, and that can be because of seasons, that you have a lack of light. And then what we are able to do is to add supplemental lighting in order to maintain the production levels that you need, but also to maintain quality levels. Because you have your contracts with supermarket chains, for instance, mm-hmm. and they demand a year-round continuous quality. And that's where LED or HPS lighting is crucial.
Yeah, and LED and HPS, are that the two different grow lights there are, or are there more?
Yeah, they are the two mains indeed.
Yeah.
Historically, HPS is one of the oldest system. It has improved by the years, but it's still quite inefficient because there is a lot of energy lost, energy heat lost in the process of making the grow light. And if we compare that to LED, which is more recent source of light, then we see that there are a lot of possibilities. We can do many things with LEDs, and the main advantage of LED is the saving of energy. So for the same amount of lights, that's the electricity that it's put into the fixture, then there is a lot more light produced. And maybe we prepare the visual, maybe we can also bring it on screen and show. Now on the visual, it's very clear to see that the repartition, the energy inputs and the repartition with LED, we can produce a lot more grow light. So that's the main advantage. Another advantage is that it doesn't have this radiation heat, which is beneficial for a grower which is used to use it, because it's integrated in a growing process. But for a new grower who has never used the HPS, LED lamp is actually easier because it doesn't produce the radiation heat, so you can separate the climate and the lighting system.
Okay, so energy efficiency, no radiation heat, so you can just use the climate system for to regulate the climate in the greenhouse. Are there other advantages of that?
The efficiency, also the fact that it doesn't need reflectors, it doesn't need a lot of maintenance. It's the lifespan of a LED fixture is very long, so that makes it also a long-term investment. And it's what you can do also with it is really play with the spectrum. With HPS, you only have one color, which is fixed, which is quite a wide spectrum, which works for most of the crops. But for many crops, for example, you don't want to have the radiation heat. For example, I can mention Alstroemeria. That's a flower which is growing normally in the winter in a high mountain, and it doesn't need the radiation heat. But also you can play with the colors, and with LEDs. The sun. If you look at the sun, you see that it looks white, but you can divide the white color in 3 different colors: blue, white or green, blue, green, reds, and those 3 different colors, if you make a variation in proportion of those 3, you can really use the lamp to create a different crop.
So the sun has 3 colors, and
our eyes, we see it as a white light, but it's composed. The sun is composed of 3 colors. Yes.
And that's the same with LED.
That's the same. The difference with LED is that you can use different LED colors, and that you can decide which color do you use.
And is there for every color has a certain advantage? For example, the red is.
Each color has its own properties. There is still a lot of investigation going on. But what we now know is that blue, for example, is creating a more compact plant. So then if you want to create a compact plant, you don't need to use so much chemicals. You can create that with LEDs and with more blue LEDs. And for example, the first phase of a growing process for chrysanthemum, for cuttings, but also for lettuce, it's good to lettuce, for example, it would be more at the end of the cycle to make it darker. So it can make a plant more compact. It can make it more dark. For example, also for basilicum, you can create more flavor by adding extra blue in the spectrum. So it has plenty of possibilities.
That's great.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So you can actually play with the colors in different phases of the plant.
Yeah, and create a dynamic spectra. And that's probably the future, that there will be more and more possibility to adjust the color upon the phase, the cycle, within the production cycle, to adapt the light to each cycle.
Yeah, I can imagine that's quite challenging for some of the growers, because that's completely new compared to the old way of growing with HPS, right?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
And how do you help growers in this process?
Well, we do a lot of research. We do that research together with the growers. We do research in-house, but we also use research from third parties. So, for instance, with research agencies or with consultants. So we often participate in all kinds of research projects, and that's where we gather a lot of information with which we can make our products better, but also our service towards the customer. And service can be consultancy, for instance.
Yeah, the more you use LED and the better the technique develops, and then you have the possibility to have different color and dynamic spectra, the more the advice after the lamp is installed in the greenhouse becomes important, because you need to help the grower to use this wonderful tool on the most efficient and the most productive way.
So as Michel mentioned earlier, it's actually also the function of a lighting company is really changing. As Hortilux, you become more and more knowledge partner instead of that you sell lights to customers.
Yeah. And that's a choice, of course. And that's also part of the mission statement.
Yeah.
We do want to add additional knowledge and benefits to the fixture that we are selling.
Yeah. Well, you see that the popularity of LED is really increasing, but for decades, HPS was the standard, right?
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of countries it's still the standard. But how do you, why do you see this changing? Is that because of the efficiency, or are there other ways why it's increasing in popularity?
Well, you are very right, Jeanette. It's a big trend the last year or so that LED is taking a big lift. But actually already in 2009 we were experimenting with LED in greenhouses with our customers.
Yeah.
So it's not something completely new. But what we see that the technological development in LED that went rapidly over the last couple of years. And
how come?
Well, it's because of techniques that they used, so they're able to get more efficiency out of a small LED bulb. And because of that, it's also became more affordable for a customer, for a grower to invest. So the business case today is much more appealing than it was a couple of years back.
Yeah. And if you compare, and if you add to this that energy price is rising, then even in Holland, for example, the electricity price has risen this year. The more the electricity, the more the energy will be, the more expensive the energy will become, the more interesting LED will become. Even more interesting than it is now. It's already interesting, but at some point, there will be no question whether you choose LED or HPS.
So actually it also gives you financially a little bit more rest, because you're not depending on the prices that are fluctuating.
That's,
Or less. You're less dependent.
Yeah, because you still need to pay for it, of course.
I think what I would also like to add to the things that Stefan mentioned, that another key element of why LED is lifting off today is also that society demands a cleaner and greener product. And that's what you and I as consumers are also demanding. And that is possible with LED. And that's also one of the main reasons that we see this development going on.
And for example, on the consumer market, LEDs has really become the standard. And that's going to be the same in
horticulture, you think?
Yeah.
So if I'm a grower and I want to start with LED tomorrow, what should I do?
What do you want to grow, Jeanette?
Tomatoes. Tomatoes, is that good enough?
And where are you located?
I'm located in France.
In France. And how many electrical...
I understand what you're doing. It's not the one size fits all, right?
Yeah, but I think that's definitely, it's indeed not a one size fits all, but that's a backbone of the development that we want to do together with our customer. And so we developed also a tool where you can put a lot of parameters, a lot of information about your demographics, where are you located,
how much sun do you get?
How much sun do you get? So we the long-term radiation average from the sun we collect also there, but also what is the electricity cost that you need to pay. So that there are some basic parameters that you put in.
Yeah.
But also, well, you mentioned you're going to grow tomatoes, and maybe you're going to grow tomatoes for a big France retailer. They have specifications to what you want. That they gave you specifications on the product that you need to deliver.
And why is that important when you're investing in LED?
Because it's also LED or supplemental lighting. You can control quality and production.
Yeah.
So most likely you have a contract that you have to deliver a year-round constant quality product. So that's all parameters and that probably will get you additional money also.
Yeah.
So that it's actually a return on investment model. So in the end, all the parameters that you put in the end, it will give you figures on how on the amount of years that your investment is written off, and that you start earning, that you really are able to lower your cost price.
So actually, based on the wishes of the grower, you help them with, for example, the configuration, how many LED lights and how many HPS lights, but also the grow light type, the LED light type.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it can the recommendations that we give. It can be that for that location, basically the most northern you get, most interesting HPS will still be, because you also still have a lot of radiation heat.
Oh yeah.
But you can have a situation what we call hybrid, that you have partly HPS and partly LED. And then you can have the situation where full LED is of interest.
So yeah, it's definitely customer depending. What's the best?
Yeah.
The advice is customer depending.
Crop depending, customer depending, but
country
also
depending.
Customer of the customer depending.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of things involved in to come to the best configuration of your light installation.
Understand. Yeah. I think we can talk about this for another hour, but I would suggest to go to the chat and see what the questions are from the audience up until now, because I see there are some questions coming in. I see a question from Praised from India. Hi, welcome. Great that you're joining all the way from India. Do you have crop-specific LED recommendations, especially for vegetables? Who want to answer this?
Crop specific, each crop for each crop we try to check which to advise the right spectrum, and as I said, it can be also, if I mention lettuce, that you have a spectrum for the whole cycle, and a week or a few days at the end of the cycle of production, then you apply another spectrum. So it's really on a general question. Yeah, there is for each vegetable there is a specific recommendation.
Yeah.
And again, the amount of sunlight present on site is also an important information, because if you have a lot of sunlight, even in the winter, you can go for the most efficient spectrum, which is like dominantly reds and blue. And if you are in a location where you don't have that much light from outside, then you can consider another spectrum with maybe more white in it or more green in it.
Yeah.
So it's really specific on the crop and on the location.
Okay. Well, I would say let's do one more question and then we need to continue, because time's running. It's going fast already. Yeah. Can LED shorten the growing time of lettuce? Ariel is asking that. Can it shorten the growing time?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
And that, what LED is, I can give a very short answer. Yes, it is. It can. What we are doing with LED is the efficiency of your square meter in your greenhouse can be used in a much more sustainable and much more economical way. What we see, for instance, with lettuce, is that the amount of cycles go much faster than without LED lights.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because you are able to also to grow in the winter month, for instance, with a constant amount of light. So the cycles throughout the year, the cycles throughout the season, will basically be of the same period of days before harvest, from sowing to harvest.
Yeah.
So that's what, in order you not only make a healthier and better lettuce plant, but also you can grow much more cycles.
Interesting. Well, Ariel, I hope that was a good answer to your question. Thank you, guys. We're now switching to a video of Terlaak orchids. They also have LED in their greenhouse, and they have a very sustainable greenhouse. So let's watch the video.
Wij zijn een familiebedrijf. We kweken al heel lang orchideeën en die proberen we eigenlijk van de hoogste kwaliteit te maken en te verkopen in heel Europa. Op deze locatie verkopen we 8 miljoen stuks per jaar. In Nederland hebben we 2 locaties van in totaal 17,5 hectare. We staan hier nu in de daglichtkas. We zijn voorjaar 2017 begonnen met de bouw. We hebben hier 5 hectare aan kas staan en dat is eigenlijk een hele innovatieve kas. Het unieke van deze kas is dat we eigenlijk de energie van het zonlicht vangen en opslaan. En uiteindelijk weer hergebruiken in ons totale verwarmingssysteem. In 2013 waren we op zoek naar een klein beetje uitbreiding. Deze daglichtkas was toen net ontwikkeld. Na wat proeven te hebben gedaan, zagen we heel veel voordelen. Hebben die kas gebouwd. Die bevalt eigenlijk zo goed, zodat we nu de volgende stap hebben gemaakt. Het gaat eigenlijk op de volgende manier. Dubbel glas. Tussen het glas zit een lens. Die lens die bundelt het licht op een buis. Door die zwarte buizen loopt water. Dat water wordt dus opgewarmd door de zon. En dat water wordt rondgepompt, dus de warmte wordt afgevoerd en opgeslagen in een grote opslagtank. En die opslagtank die verzamelt dus alle warmte op de dag. En in de nacht gaan de warmtepompen die energie opwaarderen en afzetten in de rest van de kas. Met deze kas gaan we ongeveer 40% energie besparen. En we gaan ongeveer 18 kub aan aardgas-equivalenten oogsten. Dus dat is de energie die we opvangen. En de energie die we dus opvangen, die kunnen we deels dezelfde nacht weer gebruiken. Maar in de zomer slaan we dat op in de grond voor het volgende seizoen, het winterseizoen. De eerste planten zijn mei 2018 opgepot. En je ziet hier achter nu de eerste planten staan die met de aankomende Valentijn bloeiend zijn en afgeleverd gaan worden.
You just saw Richard Terlaak from Terlaak Orchids on the video, but he's also here live. He joined us live. Welcome, Richard.
Hi.
Yeah, great you're here.
Thank you.
You talked on the video about your new greenhouse, the Daylight greenhouse. I saw it's very sustainable due to all kind of new techniques, but also the LED lights were in it. But we already talked about it, that one of the main things about LED is that it's more sustainable, more efficient. Is that also one of the reasons that you choose for LED in your greenhouse?
It's one of the reasons, but most important is the plant. So we always look to the plant quality, and then we decide what to do.
Yeah.
And of course, it's nice that it's also more efficient.
Yeah, and so why did you choose for LED then? Yeah, for the plant, but can you explain it a bit further?
Now we increased the light levels a little bit in the latest project, and then we looked how much heat the climate can have. So some compartments with lower light levels, we only have the normal artificial light, the HPS. HPS, yes?
Yeah, the HPS.
HPS. And where we have higher light levels, then we have a hybrid system with partly LED.
Okay, so you chose for a various configuration in the greenhouse. And what are the results now where in the compartment where you have LED?
It's hard to compare it with the older greenhouses we have because we increased also the light levels.
So the whole greenhouse is completely different?
It is completely different, but what we see is that we have less heat in the greenhouse, so we can keep the windows a little bit more closed, so we have a little bit more stable climate and with a little bit higher humidity, and also the CO2 is better to control.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you take me a bit through the process? You choose for one compartment for HPS, for one compartment for HPS in combination with LED, and you also have a compartment with only LED or not?
Yeah, we have in the Phalaenopsis we have different stages. So we have 3 young plant greenhouses with different light levels. Then we have a cooling area where we do the induction of the spikes, and we have a flowering area. And the cooling and the flowering area, we need low temperatures, around 18, 20 degrees Celsius. So, but also higher light levels. So there,
I can imagine LED is perfect for that.
So there we have around 60% LED.
Yeah.
And in the young plant area, there we need more light, more temperature.
Yeah.
About 28, 29 Celsius. And there we have 30% LED.
Yeah, so that's actually what you were talking about in the beginning as well. It's so different per grower, per situation, per needed
Because
heat or...
What was the reason for the decision that you made when it comes to the percentage of LED and also the spectrum? What makes you decide that?
We looked at what the influences on the climate. So we say, okay, how much traditional light we can have for that specific climate, and because we increased the light levels, and then we said, okay, it's too much if we only have the HPS, because then the windows are 24/7 open to get rid of the heat.
Yeah.
So
and that's what's the effect for the plant in that case? I can imagine that's not really positive for the plants when the windows are always open.
It's always nice to have a little bit ventilation, because you need to stimulate the plant to activate it.
Yeah.
But when it's too much, then the energy goes directly out of the window. So that's not good.
No.
So we try to find a balance together with some advisors to say, okay, what is ideal? And then of course we looked at the investment and the cost, and we made the puzzle. And that's why we have the different percentage of LED. And then in the packing hall, where we also store the plants for for the sales, there we have the plants for between 1 and 7 days. There we have full LED, but there we have
full LED.
Yeah, but there we have the more broader spectrum, like daylight, so we can have a good view on the plants. Otherwise, you cannot. Make a good quality check on the plants.
Oh, okay.
So there you need the daylight spectrum.
You see that more often in with projects?
Yeah, well, especially when you go to full LED, then it's common but also needed to add green light into your spectrum, because otherwise you cannot distinguish one thing from the other. Because if you only have red and blue, which is the most efficient for a plant, but it's not so efficient for a human eye.
No, what happens?
Well, you cannot really distinguish one thing from the other. So if you look to a plant like that, it will be almost black.
Yeah, dark brown.
Oh.
So it will be impossible to see a flowering Phalaenopsis plant, or a turning red tomato, or whatever crop that's ripe or ready to be harvested.
So then you get harvest problems if you do not have.
Yeah, you cannot check the details of the quality.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you have full LED and no daylight, then you need to add green into your spectrum.
Okay. Yeah. Well, talking about spectrum, because we just talked with Stefan and Harm about the different colors, so the green, the red, and the blue, of course, and that it's quite new for growers to start growing with these colors, because you were just used to using the HPS lights, right? How did you do that? Did you experiment?
No, we did a lot of experience in the past with different spectrum, but also different percentage. Also some tests with 100% LED. Yeah. And our experience we had is that in the end it was the light level, and we didn't see too much difference between the different spectrums, because we also have the sun, we have the HPS, and we have a part of LED. Yeah. So in a normal greenhouse, in our situation, we choose for the most efficient LED.
Yeah.
And then the color, because you have also the daylight and the HPS, is not that we have a problem with pink, red LED LEDs. It's not affecting our view on the plants because it's a mix.
Okay. Well, I can imagine that the viewers are quite interested in summarize the advantages and the challenges.
Can I have a question to Richard?
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm curious, what would you do differently today with the knowledge that you gained over the last 2 years in your new greenhouse when it comes to a new lighting installation? What would you do different?
At this moment, nothing, because I think we are happy with the choice we made. I can imagine in the future we want to know more about the details about the different spectrums, so that we can maybe make small differences between the young plant area, the cooling area and the flowering area. But for the moment, we didn't find any proof that we can influence with different spectra, and I can also imagine that we in a new project we switch to a little bit more LED, because also it's more efficient every day, I think. Maybe the steps are smaller, but it's getting more efficient, so it's economically also more interesting to switch to more LED.
So for now, a happy customer.
Yeah.
So if you could summarize for the viewers the advantages of LED, what would you say?
For us, it was finding the ideal balance between light and influence on the climate, so the heat production. I think we made a good integration in the installation, so that it all fits perfectly together with the irrigation, with the HPS and the LED.
Yeah.
And what's also very interesting with LED, you can switch the lights on and off as often as you want. So you're very flexible also with your power. Sometimes when you want to sell your power to the grid, because the prices are very high, in a split second you can move the power from your greenhouse to the grid. And in some periods of the year, like the spring, the light levels for us are not so important, so then we can choose to sell the power. So that's for LED. With the HPS it's not possible, because the lights need to cool, and that's not efficient. But with LED, you can use it like a disco installation.
Disco installation. And challenges?
Yeah, the challenges, I think for the moment, not too many. You need to calculate and to find a good mix, I think. And that's very depending on what quality you want to grow or what crop you have. For Phalaenopsis orchids, it's a small plant and it's not so complicated, I can imagine, if you compare it with a rose or a tomato, where you have a more higher crop.
Was there like a learning curve? Because in your in the other greenhouse that you operate, it's fully HPS.
Yeah.
So LED was something new from a growing perspective.
No, not too much. What I say, we did a lot of trials. In our facility, we also have small testing compartments. So in the past, we did tests with full LED and with hybrid, and also with different spectrums. And what I earlier said, the end result was more light. It's not so important what kind of light, but also the levels went a little bit up. So it's not too much learning for us.
No.
So actually, all the additional light gave you additional benefits.
Yeah, but with Phalaenopsis, you are very fast on the maximum or the optimum light levels. So for rose or tomato, you have maybe never enough. Or maybe cannabis, I don't know, but more light is better. But with orchids, you have more risk with more light than with less light. So you have to be careful.
Yeah. Everybody, I hear you talk about the right configuration, but I'm quite curious, is it feasible that we have in the future greenhouses full LED, or will it stay combined with HPS? What do you think?
I think the future will be full LED because it will get more efficient. So at the moment, or when we did the investment,
Yeah.
the price was on the high side. So it was more interesting to buy HPS. But with higher light levels, yeah, we need to find a balance. But I can imagine that when there's more production and more knowledge into the LED, the price and or the efficiency and price combination will get better and better. And also when the light levels go up in some crops, yeah, then you need LED.
Yeah.
And we also did a test with 100% LED, and we also had good quality. So
Yeah,
I
so
don't see a risk.
So you think it's the future?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can only say yes to that.
Yeah.
And I think what we also earlier mentioned, next to all the topics that Richard just mentioned, you know, carbon footprint, carbon dioxide, society, they all expect from us to deliver a cleaner and more sustainable end product. And that is what LED is able to fulfill, that prophecy.
Yeah.
So that's what also, in addition to everything mentioned already, another major important step towards full LED.
So busy years, coming years, probably.
Most likely, yeah.
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 Let's go to the chat and see if there are some questions from the audience. Richard, Andreas is asking you if there's a possibility to do a research project with you.
Always.
Always. Well, Andreas, contact Richard for this.
What does Andreas want to research?
Yeah, he can't talk.
Okay.
He can't talk to us now, so that's difficult.
Can be interesting to know.
Another question: is it possible to? What is possible with growing with het nieuwe telen, plant empowerment, and LED lighting? By case, is there a possibility to grow with LED lighting? That's what I think is the question. In combination with the philosophy plant empowerment, het nieuwe telen.
Yeah, it is. It is because the additional. Well, I don't. That's difficult because you don't know the question behind the question.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't really matter that much the source of the light itself, because the plant uses the light, and I think also the research that Richard mentioned about in his crop. In the end, the light will be transformed for the plant into growth.
Yeah.
And no matter it's coming from HPS or LED, it will be able to build and to use that light in the best possible way. And with LED, you are able to add even more light than it's possible with HPS.
Yeah, exactly. So
growth and plant empowerment and everything that is related to growth will become even easier.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting for growers who grow based on the philosophy of plant empowerment to also start with LED.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What is interesting, of course, and Stefan mentioned that already, because with HPS you also add a lot of radiation heat. For a lot of crops, especially the high wire crops, radiation heat is also beneficial for the plant. A tomato plant, a cucumber plant, they love that heat on their head. And so if you deduct that heat by going to LED, you have to find other sources to bring the heat in.
Yeah.
And that can be by the pipe rail system, of course. But there will be other possibilities in the future as well.
Yeah.
Because we need to, those plants, they rely also on, next to light, they also rely on the warmth.
Yeah. There are two new products, the Hortilux Top Intense and Serious. Before we're going to talk about it, we're first going to watch a video about this new product.
The new Hortilux Top Intense is the most flexible light system with the highest output. The new Hortilux Top Sirius is the most energy-efficient grow light system with a high light intensity. When developing the Hortilux Top Intense and Sirius, we chose to distribute the grow light over multiple LED light sources. This creates better light reception for both high-wire crops and ornamental plants and gives you the highest yield from a micromole PAR or photosynthetically active radiation. With the Hortilux Top Intense and Sirius, you have the optimal balance between horizontal and vertical light distribution. Because of proper distribution of the points of light across various light sources, there is full light penetration into the crop, with the highest yield per square meter for both high and low greenhouse constructions. The Hortilux Top Intense and Sirius can be used in both full LED and hybrid projects in combination with HPS. We specialize in LED and HPS grow light systems, enabling us to give broad-based advice on the most cost-effective grow light system application. We develop and produce Hortilux entirely in-house, so we have full control over the quality and guarantee all Hortilux grow light systems meet the requirements for intensive use in your greenhouse. If you would like to know more about the many possibilities of the new Hortilux Top Intense and Sirius, contact us or request the brochure at hortilux.com. Hortilux, your grow light knowledge partner.
So, two new products, the Hortilux Top Intense and the Hortilux Sirius. Before we're going to talk about that, please, if you have questions, leave them in the chat. After we talked about the new products, there is room for Q&A. So if you've got questions for Richard, for Harm, or for Stefan, because Stefan is joining us from the green room. Hi, Stefan.
Hi.
Great,
Hi,
you're
hi.
joining as well. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to sit with more than 3 people due to the COVID regulations at the stable. So Stefan will join us like this. Great. But if you have questions for Stefan, Harm, or Richard, put them in the chat, and we will try to answer as much questions as possible. Well, we just saw a short video about the Intense and the Sirius. What is exactly new about this product? Can you explain it?
Yeah, well, it's indeed the new products that we brought to the market this year.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, well, you saw the video. We got Sirius and Intense. And what we decided together with our innovation team, where are the needs for the market today? And what we see is that what's happening today with the trend from HPS to LED is that a lot of growers are going to a hybrid system. So what that basically means is that, to give an example, a lot of tomato growers today, they have 4 HPS lights in a trellis, an 8-meter trellis. They take out 2, so they leave 2 HPS and they replace it with 2 LED lights.
Yeah.
In that way, they have 2 possibilities, and one is with Intense.
Yeah.
So Intense will use all the energy that they are giving today with 4 times the HPS. But because of the LED, they are giving a lot of more light to the plant.
So same energy, way more light.
Same energy, way more light. And it's almost double the amount of light that a LED gives over a HPS light. So that is what our 1000-watt configuration Intense, the purpose is for.
So twice as much light. What will it do with the plant?
It will. That's also very good to see in the calculation model that we make. But there are we see also not only in the model but also in practice that they are going to reach it even 20% higher than what they are already doing with HPS. Production.
Whoa, 20%.
Maybe a little step back. Growers without artificial light and maybe give tomatoes, a big size tomato on the vine as an example, they can reach 70 kilos.
Yeah.
when they add HPS, they can reach even up to 100 kilos. And now when they are adding when they are adding 50% LED instead of the 4 times HPS, we are able to get even higher. We saw already 120 kilos being possible.
120 kilos.
Yeah.
Came from 70, so that's.
Yeah, that's.
I can imagine that's an interesting calculation to make.
Yeah.
Vervallen opties.
So that's intense. We replace 50% in most cases.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 40% replacement of HPS, sometimes 60, depends a little bit on the situation.
But use the same amount of energy, but way more light, way more production.
Correct.
And then the series.
And the series is energy saving with the same amount of light compared to your HPS installation.
Okay. So so more light or energy saving. That's actually the.
Correct.
But what's the difference compared to the other LED lights that you offer?
Well, this is the very latest LED development. So the amount of light that we are able to get from a LED, that's the highest possible today, because that market is still in movement.
Yeah.
So these are the newest, latest available LEDs.
Yeah.
So also with the highest light output in the market available. So we are very pleased with this product.
Yeah, yeah.
And it really fulfills a need to all those growers who are making the steps towards hybrid. And it's we also developed it really as a plug-and-play system. So it basically you can do it really yourself. There is a team at the grower who takes out 2 of the HPS lights and replaces them with the LED installation. You can use the same cables.
Oh.
So anybody can do the trick.
Yeah, it's very easy for the growers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's plug and play.
Plug and play. Do you want to add something to that, Stefan?
Yeah, maybe I could add that the fact actually that the light output per fixture is much higher than the previous product that we had makes that you don't need to install so much fixture in your greenhouse. And that's at the end, the investment per square meter becomes more accessible for the grower. So the step to LED becomes easier.
Okay.
Financially easier.
Financially easier. And is it also, does it also have to do with a better light penetration?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we also have a slide with for the light penetration of the crop that you are able to see how deep the LED lights are penetrating into the crop.
Yeah. So can you explain what we're seeing?
Well, we in HPS it was always very important to bring the light as far down as possible, especially in the high wire crops.
Was there a kind of USP?
There was definitely a USP, yeah, because we used the reflectors to be able to bring the beam of light down into the crop.
To make sure that at the end of the tomato plant, there are also growing
yes.
tomatoes.
Yeah, indeed. And what Stefan just mentioned, we have less fixtures in the greenhouse because those LEDs, they give a lot more light output.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's very important that you have the best distribution of light.
Yeah.
So one of the key elements also for the product is the beam that we use, that we are able to bring as much as light into the plant where the plant is also using it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the very different characteristics of serious and intense, the light penetration.
Yeah. So I'm quite curious, how does such a development process works? Because you worked a while on this new product, but how do you define the new features that this product needs?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm very proud also about what we do, because we own our own factory, so we do our own assembly. So we gather all What we first do is we gather all the information from the market. What's important? What does our customer is demanding? So then we put all that information into our we collect them with the marketing people, with the sales people, with the consultants people. We collect that, we bring that into a business case, and that's actually then when we basically hand it over to our R&D department.
Yeah.
And they know everything about the latest trends on the technological part. And then we are able to make our own products. So we are not depending on other factories abroad. We are able to really produce it ourselves. And that's why we also have an advantage to become with a lot of earliness to the market.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of information coming from the market, that what we gather, and that we are also able to make that product ourselves.
Yeah, to develop a new product
Yeah.
which compares the needs actually, is needed by the grower, which meets the needs of the grower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is something continuous, because we are now talking about the new introduction of Series and Intense. But last week we already had a huge brainstorm session with all the stakeholders in the company for the new products that we are going to launch already this year.
So a lot of development at Hortilux. It's nice,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I would like to suggest to go to the chat and see what the audience is asking. Let me see. What is the best light spectrum for microgreens? Okay. Maybe this is a good question for Stefan, or you want to answer it, Richard?
I don't know. I think it's depending if you have daylight or indoor farming, but
Yeah.
it's not my
specialization.
No, not my specialization.
Let's go to Stefan. Stefan
will tell you.
will probably know.
Yeah, I agree with Richard. It really depends on the condition, if it's indoor or in a greenhouse. And microgreens, there are many of them. So, but what I said to Basilicum, it's also partly true for microgreens. So, meaning that, for example, if you increase the percentage of blue into the spectrum, you will get more flavor. You will get a darker color. You will also get a compacter growth. Mm-hmm. But usually, yeah, the most efficient spectrum is often the one used. So red, mainly red, a little bit of blue. And if you want to be able to work close, to be able to identify the crop, then you could use a bit of green in it. But it really depends on the microgreen and the condition. So really, that's something also we should discuss with the grower himself.
Yeah. It's specialized per grower, I understand. A long question. We keep hearing one size fits all, but for quality research, growing a wide variety of crops in growth chambers in a maximum of 3 weeks is the best solution. What should I focus on when looking for LED lights in respect to light recipe? Maybe one for you as well, Stefan?
Yeah, could you read the question again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We keep hearing one size fits all. But for quality research, growing a wide variety of crops in growth chambers in a maximum of 3 weeks is the best. And the question is gone. Sorry, can I see the question again? Yeah. In growth chambers in a maximum of 3 weeks is the best solution. What should I focus on when looking for LED light in respect to light recipe?
Well, if I understand well, now the person is mentioning research. So, and it's not production, if I understood well. So research is specifically, we have a specifically designed fixture for that. And I would recommend to use a fixture which has the possibility to adjust different colors and to experiment and to try the effects on different colors and the proportion within the different colors, and to establish to establish what's the best, what's working the best. So I would invite the grower to to the grower, to research facility, to invest in something where you can adjust each color separately so that you can find out yourself what's the best combination. Once you found it, then you can scale it up. You can get a fixed spectrum on a fixture, which will be more accessible, financially more accessible, and then you can produce with a fixed spectrum fixture.
Yeah, I see Richard nodding, because that's actually exactly what you've done, eh? Yeah. So would it also be an advice for you?
I think so, especially when you have a cycle of 2 or 3 weeks. You have very fast results with testing, but you need to be flexible how to test. But I think if you tested a few crops, then you know a lot.
Yeah, so test location would be advisable. Yeah.
One thing I would like to emphasize on, because when I was reading the question, it mentioned that we hear constantly that one size fits all. But then maybe we were not clear enough, because we always said that one size doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So every situation is unique.
It's different. Yeah.
So it's definitely not a one size fits all.
Good point. Yeah. So I hope that is clear for the viewers. It's not one size fits all. It's super specialized per situation.
It's tailor-made.
Yeah, tailor-made. A lot of questions are coming in. Thanks. Can LED or HPS greenhouse make money in the winter, or are they mostly to secure year-round contracts? That's can LED, HPS greenhouses make money in the winter?
Oh, that's a very good question, and but that we need some more information as well, because what we see happening with growers that have a year-round contract with supermarkets, that they also have a different price in the winter versus a price in the summer. So they get a higher price in the winter. In that case, if that is the case, then you can just calculate in the business case your return on investment model, if it's beneficial to produce in the winter or not.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of what sales price are you getting? Because if you are not making a better sales price, and as a North European grower, you still have to compete in the winter against produce coming from the Mediterranean, then it's a very difficult competition.
Yeah.
But if you're able to get a better price, because of reasonings of better quality, better traceability, food safety, whatever, then it is more affordable to invest in light, because you are securing your promise to the retail about your 365 days a year production.
Yeah. So actually, again, it's depending on the situation.
Well, if it's not profitable to produce through winter, don't install lights.
No.
But then it's also a question, whether you should be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What products do you offer for vertical farming? Stefan?
Yeah, I can answer to that. We have a specific, I already said that we have a specific fixture with different color adjustable per color. So that's specifically for vertical farming. And we also have then a complete line of fixtures which are suitable for when the distance between the crop and the lamp is lower. And then there will be also this year we are going to release the Fusion. It's a new special fixture which is specially designed for larger vertical farming production areas.
Okay.
With multi-layers.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So for the one who asked the question, if you have more questions about it, contact Hortilux for this. I would say let's go to the last question, because time is running out. So I would like to finish up. But one more question. Do you produce dynamic spectrum lights? This would be interesting for different stages of plant growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good question. The product that Stefan just mentioned, that is a dynamic, that's a dynamic fixture.
Yeah.
So that's the brand name is 4DIM, so it's a multi 4DIM, and 4 is because of the 4 light colors: red, blue, green, and far red, and that is via software adjustable. Adjustable for the needs of the plant stage, or the needs for whatever stage the plant is in. So that dynamic spectrum we have available. Yeah, and
that's only the level, or also the spectrum is variable?
No, it's dimmable on output.
Yeah.
So you can just like volume, like 10% or 20% of the maximum output that the fixture can get. But also you can control the amount of color that comes out. And
each color is independently from each other dimmable.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So
for research purposes, that's a unique product.
But do you have enough with the 4 colors, or do you need more? Or I don't know.
Well, there is another color that we could maybe think of using is UV, but UV is a bit of a forbidden area because it can be dangerous for human. So for now, we see that already the 4 colors that Harm mentioned offer already plenty of possibilities.
But hopefully UV, of course, UV can also do a lot of good when it comes to bacteria and viruses. So
fungus, yeah.
So then you need less crop protection, or not?
Yeah, well, it can be an additional, and that will that's something also the future will definitely learn us. But UV will be something that will be added to the spectrum of today.
You already have some installations with only putting UV on the crop to disinfect.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if it's in your installation that once a day or in the night you can switch on to UV for a few seconds and you can disinfect the whole area.
Yeah.
Maybe something for the future.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a subject where we will talk about more often in the future. There will be definitely more developments on LED lighting. But for now, I want to end the webinar. If your questions are not answered yet, I would like to ask you to go to www.hortilux.com or email the question to marketing@hortilux.com, and you will definitely get an answer to your question. Thank you all for watching. We were very happy you joined us today. Thank you, Stefan, Mariska, and Michel as well for joining the table today. And sharing all the knowledge about LED. For now, I hope you have a great day. If you please write down in your agenda 28 September to 30 December, Green Tech Amsterdam live and online. So if you're from Europe or the Netherlands, you're more than welcome to join us here in Amsterdam. And if you're outside of Europe, join us online because the Green Tech event will take place. Registration will open in June, so make sure you register for the event. And I'm quite sure you can meet all the experts joining us today here in Amsterdam. Have a great day and hope to see you in September. Thank you.